Hey, I can make a video about I can statements. I don't really like to be sarcastic or cynical because it kind of feeds into this us-themness and I'm so wise and they're so ignorant. And we all like playing that. Our egos love that game. Our egos love having an enemy. I want to make this video, though, to sincerely share from a teacher classroom perspective. And from a teacher perspective, it really seems like the I can statement on the board is mostly for the admin or district office, not for the students. And yes, of course, when students have a clear understanding of what the lesson will be that day, that is an essential part of a good lesson. However, given the nature of how the observations happen, there's so many more meaningful ways that teachers are communicating to their students what the students are going to be doing that day, other than some I can statement on the board or some students will be able to. Sometimes you have your best teachers teaching their heart out, having a wonderful lesson plan, have a wonderful everything. They've worked so hard with the students in their class, and how defeating it is to be observed for a limited amount of time and get knocked down your evaluation because you didn't have an I can statement or students will be able to or whatever properly written on the board. And I know some admins say things like, well, I can tell in 30 seconds. My response is this: if you think you can tell what somebody is doing or not doing or what they're about in 30 seconds or something about who they are, their value, what you're really seeing in those 30 seconds is probably your own biases that have been built in up to this point in your life. And those biases, there's a good chance are getting in your way of seeing what is actually happening. If you really want to understand what's going on in a teacher's classroom, you're going to have to spend more time there and find more ways of measuring it and getting the complete picture than an I can statement or students will be able to kind of stuff on the board. All right, that's just not it. That's just really, even if it's there, students could still not be learning anything. And let's not even bring up the fact that we all know you can tell students 15 times something and there's still going to be some that raise their hand with don't know what's going on. And I'm not going to judge that because I am that student, okay? It goes back to this. Good teaching is going to have to differentiate for students' needs. Good admins and district officials know you're going to have to differentiate for your teachers. And there's so many other better methods of communicating clearly to students what they're going to learn that day than some I can statement or objective on the board. What it is doing is making great teachers just walk out the door. Because if we're honest, there's no way anybody can pop in a room for that shorter time, see some statement on the board, and supposedly give you advice based on that, on what they think is or isn't happening in that classroom. And that could actually be detrimental to what you're actually doing in that classroom, because you're in a whole process here that started way before they got in there, maybe not even that day, maybe weeks ago. You're in this point of it, and it's going to take you this many more days or weeks to finally bring it all home. And you can't condense all that down to some weeny bitty I can statement that someone's supposed to understand after seeing it for 2 minutes. Now, I'm very grateful and thankful to the admins in my building and my district office because they do develop an authentic, meaningful connection with the teachers and my experience they have with me. Teachers, I hope this video gets shared a lot, and I hope you add more of your experiences with I can statements just to help people better understand and empathize so we can move forward together. There's so much we cannot control in public education. We have to work on what we can control, and this should be an easy win for us to work together and better understand each other. Cool vibe.
Together we learn, together we grow, together we heal, together we flow. Be cool, every teacher, every school. Be cool, every teacher, every school. Be cool, every teacher, every school.